So Liverpool still boast a 100% record in the Champions League after making it 3 wins from 3 by beating RB Leipzig 1-0 in Germany this evening. But before I get into my assessment of the game and what I thought of that, I just want to think about the wider implications of this victory tonight, because I really do think that it merits a mention. And the fact is that this is the first time in Liverpool's history that they've won 11 of the first 12 games in a season. So Jurgen Klopp never managed that. Rafa Benitez never managed it. Bill Shankly, Bob Paisley, Joe Fagan, any of the great Liverpool managers of the past that you can think of, none of them ever won 11 out of the first 12 games in the season. The same goes for the fact that Liverpool have now won all 6 of the first away games this season as well. That has never happened before either. And I just think that that is an unbelievable achievement from Arne Slot. What we are witnessing here is history, really, and I just think you have to mention and appreciate the job he has done so far, because the fact is, it's incredibly impressive, and even more so because this is his first season in charge of the club. I mean, he's come to a new league in the Premier League, had to adapt to how different that is. He's taken the step up into the Champions League. He's managed in the Champions League before, but obviously not with a club that would be expected to compete in it. So, and he's obviously taken on this huge job coming in after Jurgen Klopp at a massive football club, and had a disruptive pre-season as well thrown in because of the international tournaments that took place, and yet 11 wins from 12. It's a remarkable achievement, as I say, and I think you can get blasé about these things sometimes, but the fact that Liverpool have found a manager who's been capable of doing that is just remarkable, really. And yes, plenty more big tests for Liverpool to come. But it's just unbelievable what they've done so far, and as I say, you have to mention these things. You can't get blasé about them. Arne Slot is doing an unbelievable, historic job so far at Liverpool. So huge kudos to the manager, and of course his players who are doing the job for him. Now I will get into the game now. Worth talking about, of course. It seems on the surface like it was a kind of a tight game, really. I mean, you look at the scoreline, obviously 1-0. You look at the shot count. RB Leipzig get 13, Liverpool 17. Shots on target, RB Leipzig take 6, Liverpool take 8. So those surface statistics kind of make it look like it was a close match. But if you look a little bit deeper, I think it gives you a truer reflection, really, of the fact that I thought personally that Liverpool were incredibly dominant in this game for the most of it. I mean, look at the XG tally, 0.76 for RB Leipzig, so under that 1 XG, which Liverpool seem to be consistently keeping opponents under. Liverpool create 2.38 XG themselves, so plenty of good chances. So their shots were higher quality chances than the ones that were allowing RB Leipzig. And you felt that in the game as well. I mean, really, the closest Leipzig came, it felt like maybe it was the Sesko chance where he curls it past the post from miles out after Kelleher comes out. There's a little bit of a mix-up, and he does have a chance later, actually, where he is inside the box, but the ball's a bit tight on him. Kelleher gets down to save well, but none of these are particularly, as the numbers show, really high quality chances in terms of expected goals. They're not high XG chances. So again, they would have been good finishes if Leipzig had put them away, and I think that gives you a picture, really, of the fact that Liverpool were dominant. They weren't giving up great chances, and they were creating great chances of their own. And if you do that across games, and Liverpool clearly have over the first 12 games of the season, you give yourself a great chance of winning the matches. I mean, there will be points, I think, where people, it may have felt like Liverpool were under a little bit of pressure, or maybe felt worse than the reality, and a lot of that for me has to do with the fact that Leipzig scored a goal, but it's offside. They have a moment where they get chances and shots away, but again the flag goes up, and it felt like the best real moments that Leipzig had were offside. And okay, they can make you feel like, oh, we're under a bit of pressure here, that things could be about to go wrong for us. But the reality is, having a good defensive line that plays the opposition offside is a skill. It's a defensive quality, and it's something Liverpool showed in this game against a team that wanted to get in behind them, wanted to exploit the high line. That Liverpool are very adept at stepping up, making sure they do play the opposition offside, making sure that if the opposition are going to get in behind them to reach a cross or a ball in behind, that they're going to have to be in an offside position to get there. So, that is as bad as they sometimes feel when the opposition get in behind and the flag goes up. The reality is that is good defending, and I think Liverpool should deserve an awful lot of credit for that. And the fact is, as I say, playing offside is a skill, defending as a whole is a skill, and this is no fluke really that Liverpool keep coming up with clean sheets, that they keep coming out of games and not conceding many at all. I mean, it's 7 clean sheets out of 12 for Arne Slot so far, which is, and as I say, all the underlying numbers really reflect the fact that they are very, very hard to score against. They're very hard to generate high XG chances against. So it's just a defensively very, very good side, and it really comes to the fore in games like this. I think, I mean, you can underestimate RB Leipzig, but they are second in the Bundesliga. This was Liverpool's pot 1 away game in the draw. So in theory, I know Real Madrid will probably be tougher, but in theory, with the draw, this should be their toughest game in the entire draw, in the entire group stage. And so to come through it and almost cruise it at points, really. I mean, they had a little wobble around 70, but I think it was almost because it was a little bit too easy for Liverpool. But to come through with a clean sheet, a fully deserved clean sheet, to create the chances that he had, and to win it as comfortably is incredibly impressive again. Yeah, it could have been more comfortable if he'd taken the chances. McAllister hits the bar. They 100% should have had a penalty, by the way. That was a foul on Nunez, and utterly bizarre. The ref didn't give that. But I think if that penalty is given, actually, I think Liverpool do completely cruise the game. But that second goal didn't come. They had to see it out a little bit. But for me, just more examples of the fact that Liverpool defensively are fantastic, and they are very good at controlling games now, which is exactly what we wanted to see when Arne Slot came in. That was one of his briefs, really, is to make Liverpool better in those aspects, and we're already seeing it. So for me, a hugely impressive performance. Now, in terms of picking out some individuals, one of the individuals I'm going to pick out is maybe a bit of a strange one when I'm talking about the fact they don't give up many quality opportunities, but I thought Caoimhin Kelleher was impressive in what he had to do, which wasn't an awful lot really today. As I say, I thought maybe a couple of great saves from him today. The one from Sesko is an important one in an important moment around the sort of 70th minute, and he makes one, I think it's just before that, which again is important. Now, it's kind of strange actually with the statistics here that RB Leipzig only generate 0.76 expected goals, but Kelleher actually faces 0.96 expected goals on target. Now, the reason for the discrepancy there is that one of the shots was a deflection that looked like it was about to loop in, and that for me was his save of the night, really. He gets back, tips it over the bar, fantastic full-length save. And again, if Leipzig had got that little bit of luck, could that have kicked them on a bit? Could it have made it more difficult for Liverpool? We don't have to find out, thankfully, because Liverpool have got a top-class goalkeeper in there. And again, it's one of those things you shouldn't be blasé about. You should really appreciate the fact that Alisson Becker is injured at the moment, and yet Liverpool are able to call on someone as good as Caoimhin Kelleher, and I thought he showed it again tonight. I mean, his handling from some of these shots from long distance are quite hard to take when they bounce just in front of you, but he showed really good handling. Feet fantastic, and as I say, Liverpool are just blessed really to have a backup goalkeeper of that quality. And again, another evening really where he shows it here, coming in a tough Champions League away game and not missing a beat really. So fantastic performance from him, and long may that continue while Alisson is out. He hasn't been a miss yet, and you hope that can be the case by the time that Alisson comes back. Just going to move forward into the midfield now and highlight another individual performance. Yes, it's Ryan Gravenberch again. I will not get tired of talking about how well he is playing at the moment. Absolutely ridiculous how good he is, really, that he's being, it was seen in pre-season as though we were going to try him out in this deeper role and see how it goes, and now he's going to really tough Champions League away games and absolutely dominant performances. It's, again, just remarkable, really, and testament to him and also the coach for seeing how well he can do in this system and used in that position. Now, just reel off some statistics here. 2 out of 3 tackles won, 5 out of 7 duels won, 7 recoveries. So unbelievable off-the-ball statistics, all the stuff that we maybe didn't expect he would be this good at. And a 95% passing accuracy, which again, he tries risky passes as well. So to come out with that pass completion rate, it's unbelievably safe for a player who passes in the way that he does through the lines and takes risks. And what you can't see in the statistics here as well is that little swivel he does with his hips that absolutely kills players and gets him away. And he did one at one point where he sort of evades almost 3 players around him just trying to press him, and then passes the ball off into the number 10 position. He is an unbelievable footballer, and I thought we just saw more of that today. What a season he's had. having, and he's been a revelation for Liverpool. So yeah, huge performance from him again. Now, just in terms of the individual performances, want to finish it up by someone from the front line, and that is Darwin Nunez. Now, anybody who's watched this channel or seen my writing on Substack or, you know, social media posts, I have been a little critical of Darwin Nunez in the past. Not over the top, of course. I'm not a lunatic. I like to cover things fairly, but I've been a little bit sceptical about whether he could be a long-term option for Liverpool. And what I will say is, I can't flip-flop on that opinion. I still have some scepticism. I think, you know, you need to see consistency from him. But what I will say is, if we see performances like we saw against Chelsea and this back-to-back, and that consistently continues, then, you know, there's every chance that Darwin Nunez could change my mind on him between now and the end of the season. I just thought he was fantastic again tonight, really. 3 out, obviously gets the goal, which is important. It's the winner, and I do think that's worth poking in rather than just allowing it to dribble on, because there's every chance that Salah's header maybe just clips the inside of the post or gives a chance for a defender to come back. So glad to see he was following in and following in from an onside position and just poking that home. So really important goal, and hopefully good for confidence. But it was everything else really in his performance that I absolutely loved. I mean, 3 out of 3 shots on target. He was so, you know, you want that accuracy. He's an absolute pressing monster. He's just pressing on his own at times, really, which again was something we saw against Chelsea. But just tireless in his work rate, which is fantastic. But it didn't sort of lose anything off the back of that either. It wasn't like he was tired off that, and so he was being a bit loose or anything like that. I mean, 73% passing accuracy, really good. Great use of the ball, really tidy with it. Some really incisive passing as well. And I wanted to highlight that 73% passing accuracy because, as I say, I've been critical in the past, and one of the ones this season where I was after the Bologna game, where I remember that he completed 4 out of 12 passes there, so 33%, and I just thought, you know, Arne Slot needs someone who is more secure in possession in that position, who will keep the ball and use it well. You can't have it keep coming back constantly, or that just puts you under pressure. And to see that sort of uptick, I mean, you know, to go from 33% to 73%, and again, this is, you know, in theory, again, an uptick in the quality of the opposition as well, going from Bologna to RB Leipzig away from home. Just, you know, the unbelievable improvement that we're seeing there. You know, the big question now is, can he keep it up? Can he do this consistently? Be really good if he could get a couple of goals at Arsenal at the weekend, but, you know, hugely encouraged by what I saw today. And, you know, you just wonder, I think it's kind of last chance saloon for Nunez this season. I think it's his 3rd season. He really does have to put it together and show some consistency. But I thought these last 2 performances, you know, if he's going to have any chance of doing that, these last 2 performances show that maybe there is an opportunity for him to show that improvement, to work with this coach and for things to work out for him. So really hugely impressed by his performance tonight, and so wanted to praise that. And as I say, really hope there's another one to come against Arsenal, and that, you know, maybe he'll make me look daft for criticising him in the past. We'll see, and I really do hope so. And just a couple more I wanted to mention just very briefly. I won't go into their statistics, but I thought Gakpo was fantastic coming in. Didn't think he had his best game against Chelsea, but thought he was really, really good tonight. Just really threatening, got a load of shots off, kept the ball really well. You know, I think playing in the Champions League seems to really suit him, so maybe he's going to be the option in this competition going forward, and Diaz maybe focused on the Premier League. And Kostas Tsimikas as well, really want to praise him. You know, every time he comes in, I think, you know, he gets so much stick at times because he's not been the level of Andy Robertson at his peak. But I think, you know, I think he's been a really good backup for Liverpool down the years, and so every time he comes in and plays well, I always want to mention it. And I thought he was really, really solid again tonight, but really good in possession, and just every aspect of his game was really impressive, really. But to be honest, I could go into every player tonight. You know, it was only a 1-0 win, and yet I thought Liverpool were absolutely fantastic in how they controlled that and managed the game and created chances. Just every aspect that you want from a good football team, really. And I think Liverpool, 11 wins from 12, they're definitely that. Now, one final point I want to make is, did we get a couple of hints towards what the team is going to be looking towards the weekend with this selection here? I mean, I would expect Luis Diaz, surely, with Gakpo doing back-to-back games, Luis Diaz to come in at Arsenal away. He's such an important player. Will we see Andy Robertson come in at left-back with him having been rested for this one? Or could it even be Joe Gomez to try and lock Saka down coming in on his right foot? That's an interesting option, and Gomez has been a sub in the last 2 games. Is that Slot trying to get some sharpness going in, and really interested with that? And Curtis Jones, phenomenal against Chelsea, left out here. Is that just a case of the manager wanting to go to that solid 3 that he's been set on in the start of the season? Or could we see Curtis Jones come in maybe for Szoboszlai? He's maybe the one who could drop out there. Is it readying him for Arsenal? We'll have to see. Maybe a few hints there from the manager, but we're going to have to wait till the team news comes out on Sunday to find out about that one. But really, really interesting selection decisions, and it's a pretty good position for Arne Slot to be in. The fact that most of his players are playing unbelievably well, and yeah, another good win and confidence is flying. So going to Arsenal game full of confidence and really looking forward to it. So let's see how that one goes. So I'm going to leave it there and wrap it up. As ever, if you can like and subscribe, massively appreciate that. Still seeing huge growth on the channel. Still very, very near that 20,000. So please, if you can subscribe, if you don't, and tell your friends about it. If you do, maybe that would be fantastic to get over that 20,000 mark as soon as possible. And yeah, I'm going to leave it there. And of course, I'll be back for my assessment of the Arsenal game. And wow, if Liverpool can win that, then you're looking at 12 wins out of 13 games to start the season. They'll be top of the Premier League, having landed a huge blow on a title rival. 3 wins from 3 in the Champions League. That would be dreamland, wouldn't it, for Liverpool? Let's hope so. See you then.